Who's wrongly portrayed as a hero? Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk. The guy literally sold his father's cow for some beans. And then he'd break and enter into the giant's home and then murder him. As a naive kid who didn't understand the concept of an unreliable narrator, I thought Greg Heffley from Diary of a Wimpy Kid was pretty cool. As an adult, he is a rotten little piece of shit. J. Jonah Jameson here to talk about the menace to the lovely city of New York. Spider-Man. Kevin Owens. His betrayal of Chris Jericho during the Festival of Friendship should never be forgotten. P.T. Barnum in The Greatest Showman. Dude was definitely not a nice guy and completely focused on exploiting anyone with strange features. He touted an old black woman around as George Washington's 160-year-old nurse and, when she died, had her autopsy performed live on stage for an audience. Kendall Jenner for walking at the Met Gala after eating fast food. Jerry. From Tom and Jerry. Zeus. Zeus is a horrible person if you look at the actual Greek myths. Hades is a pretty good dude though. Edit. All of the Greek gods were pretty terrible to be honest. Sierra Burgess. She catfished a guy then kissed him without his consent. Then somehow gets mad at the girl she was pretending to be for getting the guy to like her. And when she tells the guy that she was lying to him the entire time, he's just perfectly okay with it. I don't understand. I have no recollection of Abraham Lincoln slaying any vampires. Shawn Mendes in his song, Treat You Better. Wanna Be Nice Guy. I hate this song. Not sure where my strong feelings about this come from. If you think about it, Odin from the MCU is a dick. He has covered up everything and raised Hela to be a cold-hearted killer and banished her for doing what he wanted. He also lied to Loki about being Asgardian. He made Loki think he could be king. He also got overconfident with Malekith. He also treats people who are not Asgardians like shit. He also stole and killed many people. He raised Thor to be a spoiled brat and got mad at him for it and banished him. He also died when Thor and Loki needed him to help them fight Hela. He's not a hero at all. Rorschach. As much as I love this character, his author himself said that he is not a hero and people are not supposed to like him. But I still do for some reason. I wouldn't say he's portrayed as a hero, but a lot of Breaking Bad fans seem to think Walt is a hero who didn't do a thing wrong. He did plenty wrong. Edit. Unabbreviated Breaking Bad. Robin Williams's character in Mrs. Doubtfire. As a kid, I was mad at Sally Fields for ruining everyone's fun, but as an adult, holy shit. Robin Williams's character is the worst. He sabotages his own career, destroys his house with zoo animals, going behind his wife's back to do so, after specifically being told not to have a crazy party, and literally tries to murder the new guy his ex-wife is dating, Pierce Brosnan's character, by serving him food he's allergic to. Not to mention the basic plot of the movie, which is establishing a new identity to get closer to his kids whom he's not allowed to be around. Steve Jobs. Despite being worth a tremendous amount of money, he had to be sued for child support. Choosing to not provide for your family makes you a dirtbag. Gabriella. Sharpay was the victim. Glinda the Good Witch. Wizard of Oz. She used Dorothy to kill the Witch of the East. House. Tricked Dorothy into stealing her shoes and then getting her to walk all the way to Emerald City just to literally melt the Witch of the West. Glinda also used Dorothy to send the wizard back to Kansas, leaving Oz with no natural leader other than her. Glinda knew the whole time that Dorothy could have clicked her heels together and gone home. Who now rules Oz completely unopposed? The Good Witch Glinda. Edit. Glinda not Glenda. I've been saying it wrong this whole time? And spelling. The Nerds from Revenge of the Nerds. Perverts setting up hidden cams and rape. JFC. Wyatt Earp. He was a complicated guy and an outlaw. Bouncer. Vagrant. Gambler and possibly a pimp. He was arrested for stealing a horse. Then broke out of jail and skipped town. He was also accused of misappropriating funds and backhanding a prostitute. Virgil was much more of a heroic lawman. My D&D players. They decided to run a 6-cleric party. I said, oh cool. I'll just make an entire campaign based on religion. They're all evil cultists. They think they're saving the world. They're destroying it, bit by bit. Hopefully the twist really fucks with them when I get to that. Thomas Edison. Dude was smart, but a total scumbag. Edit. I just felt the need to elaborate a little more on why Edison is trash. But first, some things to know. Many people will want you to think he stole everything and invented nothing at all. But history is actually a little fuzzy on that. He was a smart man. But most of his influence stems from his vast marketing skill and deep pockets of cash. Many inventions that Edison is credited with were not invented by him. But likely these things would not have been as popular or widely used or influential without the cash and influence from Edison. He deserves only trace amounts of credit for helping those good inventions along. Because here are a few of the reasons Thomas A. Edison was human garbage. 1. A popular technique of his was slander. Using his money and influence, he destroyed many of his opponents, actual brilliant inventors and their ideas, because he cared more about money than the progression of science and technology. 2. In experiments with X-rays, he resorted to irradiating his employees. Thankfully, he also irradiated himself and almost went blind. Bastard deserved it. 3. He did indeed kill elephants. But on top of that, he killed dogs, cats, and other neighborhood pets. He's pay kids in the neighborhood to bring him animals so he could electrocute them to show just how dangerous his competitors' technology was. 4. Speaking of electrocution, we have Edison to thank for the electric chair, another smear campaign to harm a competitor. The first execution took 8 minutes, multiple attempts, and the prison's skin bled and burned. Smell was so bad it's noted in many accounts. According to Edison, all the excitement had caused some bungling. 5. Mid-World War I, Tesla was working on radar, a piece of technology that could have saved many lives and improved Allied military intelligence. Tesla's theories and research for radar and further development was rejected, not radar itself, when presented to the U.S. Navy's head of research and development. None other than the pile of trash we call Thomas Edison prevented the further R&D of radar. Later on, this research would be the backbone for the actual development of radar in the 30s. I'm sure there are more stories, but these are the ones I am aware of. I hope history will one day look upon Edison in the way he deserves. I think back to my 3rd grade class where we learned how important his contributions were and how he gave us the light bulb. Hogwash. The man was scum, and glorifying him as a gross misrepresentation of his impact. Steve Jobs. Every fictional archaeologist ever. They routinely trespass into other people's property, destroy priceless ruins forever in their search for shiny trinkets, and often kill people and endangered wildlife that get in their way. Hamilton in the musical. I'm not saying the real Hamilton should be seen as a villain, but the musical is far too generous emo. Quoting an article, he was not an immigrant. She said, he was not pro-immigrant either. He was not an abolitionist. She added, he bought and sold slaves for his in-laws, and opposing slavery was never at the forefront of his agenda. He was not a champion of the little guy, like the show portrays. She said, he was elitist. He was in favor of having a president for life. The musical simplifies and sanitizes history, said Gordon Reed. The Hamilton on the stage is more palatable and attractive to modern audiences. She said, the musical makes it look like the only negative thing about him was that he cheated on his wife. Source: https. News. Harvard. A Duke Gazette story, 2016 10ths, correcting Hamilton. Zeus and Hercules. Polygamy, cheating, murdering and incest. I dunno. Seems pretty harsh. Grandpa Joe. The Nerds in Revenge of the Nerds. Albert Speer. He was not really seen as a genuine hero outside of Germany, of course, but he did succeed in persuading contemporary analysts that he was an unpolitical technical aid to the German war economy. Recent studies have however shown that in reality he was very much ideologically involved and willingly participated in using, for instance, slave labor for economic purposes during the war. Oliver Cromwell. That dude was a monster towards the Irish. Ellen DeGeneres. Mario. Lets Yoshi die to save himself. Plays around with other women. Kills thousands of Mushroom Kingdom citizens that have been turned into blocks. Is a complete asshole towards his brother. Etc. Etc. Edit. Wow. Thanks for all the upvotes, guys. Albus Dumbledore. He's not downright evil, but he's definitely irresponsible and possibly a bit delusional. He repeatedly puts his students in harm's way. He also lets 11Y. Harry face Voldemort alone because he deserved the chance to face him. Or some bullshit. Joe Exotic. Snape. He was immature and treated Harry badly just because of his obsession with Lily. Caitlyn Jenner. John Lennon. He took a holier-than-thou approach to telling the world imagine if this was a better place, when he wasn't telling other people how to live their life. He was brutally terrorizing and neglecting his family. Imagine Julian doesn't exist. That's what John did. Peace. More like peace, as on a couple of occasions John chipped a piece off Cynthia's tooth by backhanding her. Lennon was a talented musician who made a few feel-good songs. When he wasn't writing, playing music, he was a monster to those who were closest to him. Those bastards who raped local girls after chasing the Nazis out of town. You think it's difficult for teenage girls to accuse men of a sex crime? Imagine them having to do it in the 1940s. And the men are literally the guys hailed as heroes for liberating the whole town from an oppressing army. Scumbags ruined my great-aunt. Greg Heffley.